As we have been discussing that, especially in Śruti-Sevana Upanishad also highlights, which we have seen in Guru Gita in details regarding Guru. In Śruti-Sevana Upanishad also says, Yasya deve para bhakti, yatha deve tatha guru, sabrahma vit prayat iti vedanu shasanam. So keeping this in line, Goraksha does prostrations to his teacher, and he is starting this Goraksha Samhita that we have seen very carefully. Now, after seeing this thing, verse number 3 we are supposed to see. So now let us chant verse number 3. Goraksha Samhitam Bhakti Yogina Hitakamyaya Dhruvam Yasyavabodhena Jayate Paramam Padam. As all of you know, whenever we start a text or whenever we write any subject matter, we generally highlight 4 points. So technically we call as Anubandha Chatushtayam. I hope you remember long back we have discussed this point, especially during Tattva-Bodha class time, okay? So Anubandha Chatushtayam. So these are the technical words we use, okay? Sadhana Chatushtayam is different than Anubandha Chatushtayam. Don't confuse both, okay? So what are these Anubandha Chatushtayam? What are they? The first one is called Adhikari. So whenever you write something, whenever you study something, you have to be very clear. Same thing also whenever you launch a product, also you look at who are the consumer, okay? So without understanding who are the consumer, can you launch a product? Can you write something? Can you do anything? Who are your client? Who are your consumer? So here we say, who are your adhikari? So first you have to make sure that who are the people are qualified. Second thing we say, after adhikari comes that Vishayam. So what is the subject matter? Because without subject matter, you have adhikaris, but there is no subject matter, then it's not possible. Third point we highlight called prayojanam. So what is the purpose? And finally called sambandham, the relationship, what we are studying and what is my prayojan, is there any connection or not? Is there any link or not? So if these 4 are not being fulfilled, whatever you do is not going to fructify or is not going to give due result. So wherever any one of is misunderstood or not linking properly, you will discover the result will not be that great. So now in this verse, he is going to highlight this Anubandha Chatushtayam. So the first one he highlights what? Goraksha Samhita Bhakti Yoginam Hidakamyaya. So this Goraksha Samhita is going to be taught to whom? To the yogis. So when we say, look, now Hitakamya, that means yogis becomes the adhikari. So those who are yogis, definitely for them only this text. Now you may ask the question, already I am a yogi, then why do I need? Get my point? So once I am a yogi, definitely I don't need this text either. We say, not only you are yogi, also the adhikaris, those who are in the process of becoming yogi. Like the one who joins medical science, the day also is called a doctor. The day the person joins engineering, also called, generally we don't call engineer, we say that time there we say studying engineering. Whereas the day the person joins medical science, I am a doctor, okay? This is a very nice point to observe. So also here, yogi. And secondly, what is the prayojanam? So the prayojanam here is that paramam padam. So by studying, by knowing this text, the person will attain the padam, that which is param. So that means what? A state you can use, that is paramam, that is supreme. Now if this is the paramam padam is being gained, now he says, look, now we also very carefully say, okay, we understand prayojanam. What is vishayam? So vishayam here is Goraksha Samhita. So the text that is being taught is called here Goraksha Samhita. And interestingly, what is the sambandham? So sambandham he uses, that is nothing to gain, but yasya avabodhena jayate iti. So by understanding which there is something born, and dhrumam, there is no doubt in it. And what is that born? So that is born is paramam padam. So if you say by understanding something is being born, is it created? Even though we say by understanding which something is born, will you call it as created? Can you see the contradiction of very carefully, okay? For example, look, I am having specks on my head. When specks are there, now I am searching where is my specks. After some time, I realized, I understood, look, the specks that I am looking for is on my head. Now there is avabodhan. Now when there is bodham, avabodhana here. So now by this knowledge, when I discover there is specks, do I create? Did I create? Was it created? Do you understand the concept? So that means what? Here is very clear. Yasya avabodhena paramam padam jayate iti. So that means that paramam padam is not created at all. Is it clear? So very carefully you need to understand the concept. And that is what the sambandham. So we say pratipadya, pratipadaka sambandha. We have discussed in details. Okay? So when this is the concept, now what we need to do? We need to see that whether I am an adhikari or not. So when I see myself especially that I am an adhikari or not, then only things will move. Or else what will happen is, I will be just spending time but not able to understand. So now if we try to look at, continuing, etat vimukti sopanam etat kalasya vanchanam yadvaprutam manobhogat asaktam paramatmani. He says, look, adhikaritvam being discussed here very carefully. In fact, before going to this text, there is one beautiful verse goes, which is very nice. In Maitreyi Samhita, there it comes, Abheda darshanam jnanam dhyanam nirvishayam manah snanam mano malatyagah shaucham indriya nigrahah. In fact, these are the four things put together is called adhikaritva. So being the status of me being adhikari is the combination of all these four. So what is that? So what is the jnanam? Jnanam is nothing but avheda darshanam. Atma paramatmanayoh avheda darshanam. So seeing no difference between Atma and Paramatma, the individual and totality, is called Jnanam. Other than that, not Jnanam at all. Okay? So what is Dhyanam? Dhyanam is nothing. Nirvishayah manah iti. So nirvishayam manah. So the mind has to be free from the sense object. So don't say that, oh, free from everything, so empty, not that. Making free from the sense objects. Generally what happens? The moment we close our eyes, so we start dwelling upon all different type of objects. Automatically they rush, not come in, okay? They push in such a way. That's why while meditation time, all shaking, every pain happens. You understand? So here he says, nirvishayam manah iti is called dhyanam. And what is called snanam? So snanam, purpose of snanam is nothing. Manah malatyagah iti. So the purpose of snanam is to remove the impurities from mind, not only mere body. That's why we look at snanam. Snanam means bathing, okay? So snanam generally we call as a ritual. That's why there is a lot of procedure for snanam. It's not that simply you can do snanam the way you want, not allowed. That's why shower and bathing, taking a dip, there is a big difference. In every religion, almost including very nicely, I have observed, in fact, when they initially convert in Christianity, so that is called real snanam, okay? So the way there is some procedure. So you have to get into the water, okay? How they do it. It's a very nice thing to observe. Even a small baby, how they make a force him or her to take a dip. So that is called snanam. Why? Because where not only sharira malam is being removed, this physical body impurities are removed, but moreover, remember, mind malam is being removed. That's why snanam is more with attitude. That's why to bring attitude aspect, we highlight that snanam is nothing but a ritual. So once you say snanam is a ritual, automatically that pouring water plus, you understand? So that plus takes care of everything. And finally says that tyagah is nothing but shaucham, sorry, I made a mistake. Saucham is nothing, I made a mistake, is indriya nigraha. So the purity comes when I am able to withdraw my sense organs from respective sense objects. Because when my mind is attached to any sense objects, whether it is a person, situation, or object, makes no difference. Definitely related to that person, related to that object, or related to that situation, I will have some malam. I will have some impurity. And that impurity can happen in two levels. So the first level is directly it can come from the source. Also, it can happen because the way I relate with that person, object, or situation. It's an amazing point to observe. I'll give you an example of this, how this malam happens. Let us say the best example is going to temple. So when we go to the temple, so temple relating with the God is supposed to be the best. There should not be any malam. Because that is the source of energy, everything. That is the purpose. But malam also comes. Let us say the priest or the flower vendor who is doing business over there, or trustees or endowment people. You understand? So those who are working, like especially in Tirupati, jargandi, you understand? Go away, move on, keep moving. The way they behave. Now, even if they are in the best place, the source is excellent, but the way they relate with the source, the way they relate with the situation, that creates malam in them. So that's why anytime malam that takes place in the mind, it is because of sense objects that my indriyas are connected, and in which way they are connected. So if these two are being taken care, that's why to create a gap, because I cannot look at or I cannot change the sense objects, need not. But I can change my attitude, my reference. So in order to change that, we do snanam. So snanam takes care of the attitude part. That's why, please understand, when we do snanam, we have mantras. It is not, quick, grrr, get out, okay? I remember a very nice point I would like to say. In Gangotri those days, super cold. So what to do? So take a bucket, duck, some water pour. Honestly speaking, today I can share with you, it does not fall on the whole body. So few parts of the head, some portion of the body, left side, right side, God knows which part it falls, that's all. So with that towel, just cover, we get out. But even though we do very quick, before going there has to be some sankalpa. You cover yourself, you do whatever, that minimum procedure you need to do, and which was very much visible during Kumbh Mela. So Kumbh Mela, whoever went to do snanam, it was not purifying the body. That's why when this sort of snanam we do, first we take bath in the room, then only we go for second. Not that, okay, Ganga is the best place to take bath. It's not. That's why if you observe, especially in Rishikesh also, nobody washes the cloth. And if anybody is washing cloth, and if other sadhus or anybody sees, they shout at. Not supposed to. Hidingly people do it differently altogether. Not supposed to. We maintain that. However, let us not get into that. So I took it little differently. So here he says that I need to purify myself. And here it says, etad vimukti sopanam, etad kalasya panchanam. So this text that we are going to talk. So this is sopanam. Steps means, so steps, sopana means steps, means step by step you need to work for it. To what? For vimukti, for liberation. And also kalasya vanchanam, how to grow out of kalam. So growing out of, transcending kalam means not getting affected with time. Because each one is afraid of really only one thing, not anything. Do you know what is that? That is called kalam. So we are not afraid of our tooth is falling down, okay? We are not afraid that hair is falling down now it is good, okay? Hair is becoming grey or whatever, okay? But we all are afraid of kalam. That's why we say, kala eats away everything. Sarvam kalam bhakshati iti. So if this is the case, sarvam kala bhakshati, that means what? When kalam is most important, one need to grow out of kalam. And he says, this is the means for that. Yad vyaprutam manaha bhogat asaktam paramatmani. This is the point, yogi. So how is it possible? He says, when the mind, if you observe, generally is connected to bhoga. For a common person, the mind is connected, attracted towards bhogam. So bhogam means any sensory pleasure or enjoyment. That is what mind is. And mind will go. But here withdrawing from that. And where to again make it? Paramatmani vyavrutam iti. So the one who withdraws from that and makes the mind towards, or directs mind towards Paramatma. And only that person indeed becomes a yogi. In fact, here that is called adhikaritvam. So either the person has achieved or the person is in the process. That's why we say very nicely that mind is something where there is Rama, there will be no Kama. And where is the Kama, there cannot be Rama either. Rama and Kama cannot be in the same mind. Continuing. Divya sevita sakhyasya Shruti kalpataro phalam shamanam bhavatapasya yogam bhajata sattama. So when we look at, we generally look at that the entire Shruti as kalpataru, wish fulfilling tree. In fact, if we try to look at in a very shortest way, Rik, Yaju, Shama, Atharva, there are different ways to look at these four Vedas. If we try to look at Rik Veda, okay, I should start from Atharva Veda little differently, okay? So Atharva Veda, we say, gives different type of Vijnanam, objective science to achieve. So Atharva Veda directly, mainly related to lot of Prayogam. So achievement oriented. So in short, Vijnanam. So present science, whatever you say, objective science. Rik Veda highlights on karma. Sama Veda highlights on upasana. Actually, Ruka and Yaju both are karma. Samaveda highlights upasana. And of course, remember, in all the Vedas, also there is moksha. So, in short, all purusharthas, or you can say they do talk very carefully. The main purpose of the Shruti is karma, upasana, jnanam and vijnanam. And that's why it is called kalpataru, wish fulfilling tree. So whatever you want, the Veda bestows, gives. That's why here he says that Dvija sevita sakhasya srutihi kalpataruh phalam iti. So that means what? The Shruti is nothing but wish fulfilling tree, and it has its result. And what is that result? Of course, the result is nothing but the jnanam. And here he says, look, who are these people? Those who are taking shelter in yoga. And again, they are nothing but dvija sevita sakhasya. Again, they are called dvija, twice born people. In fact, that's why Guru Gita we took it before. So being born twice, and this Kalpataru Vriksha, Kalpataru itself, that the wish fulfilling tree, has its branches, and those branches are being served by dvijas. That's why if you observe yourself, especially some of you, when you do abhivadanam, so do you say you are shakha or not? So you really remember that, look, I belong to this shakha. So you serve this particular shakha, this particular branch of Veda, the Shruti. And of course, it takes care of, what does it do? Shamanam bhavatapah. Bhavatapasya shamanam iti. So it pacifies the impact of affliction of worldly existence. So the job of, that's why each one is supposed to do one's own shakha study. That's why in Taittiriya Upanishad being highlighted what? Swadhyaya ma pramatitavyam. So one is supposed to study one's own shakha Veda. A Swadhyaya means you don't think that, studying one's own self. This is a new version of Swadhyaya, okay? All this yogic version, I would rather say. Confusing version. However, here we do highlight that studying Veda, and especially those who take refuge in yoga, they go together. And the purpose is nothing but to bring down, remember very carefully, to bring down the affliction. Because if the person is afflicted, will the person be able to understand anything? Definitely, that person cannot understand anything either. That's why what one need to do is to make sure spending some time in one's own Veda. That's why technically what we do when we cannot do it, Agnimile Purohitam Yajnasya. So that 4 stanzas from 4 Vedas we chant and we close the chapter. If you go to any temple, have you not observed that? Chaturveda Priya, Chaturvedam Avadharaya. Then the person will start, Om Agnimile Purohitam Yajnasya Deva Mrityujam Taram Ratnadhatamam Hari Om Hari Om. Have you ever heard this or not? So to take care of this part, they do very carefully, very nicely. However, more of it we'll see tomorrow. Om